Right now on News 3, there may be a recount in the near future stemming from last week's elections. And a Madison middle school teacher accused of using a racial slur in class has now resigned. And later, safety reminders from the state DNR ahead of this weekend's gun deer season opener.
This is News 3 at 6.
Thanks for joining us tonight. It looks like we will be starting the weekend on a wintry note. An overnight winter weather advisory has been issued for the Madison area. We have team coverage tonight. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield keeping an eye on the snowstorm. Keely Arthur with a preview of road conditions and how a new report ranks local drivers. We start with Dave, a closer look at when the snow will start falling.
Well, Eric, for some of us, we are starting to see a few flakes move into southwestern Wisconsin. First, though, a winter weather advisory in effect from basically right now until 9 a.m. on Saturday. Doppler tracks showing a few snow flurries and snow showers moving into western Grant County. Not quite to Platteville yet, but starting to make its way, that snow, into the Dubuque area. So Platteville under Queen Bee Radio Skycam, the snow off in the distance. Temperatures are in the low 30s, right around that freezing mark. Some 20s are showing up as well. And wind chill's not too bad for many of us. That wind has died down a little bit compared to this afternoon. Temperatures and wind staying pretty steady in the low 30s and upper 20s, and that wind staying relatively calm. For tomorrow, starting off with those snow showers and light to moderate snow, but then into the afternoon and evening we'll lose that snow and actually could see a little bit of clearing with highs right around the freezing mark. We'll take a closer look at the timing, threats, and totals of this system in your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Dave, thank you. And with the snow and ice on the way, safe driving practices are a must. And according to one report, Madisonians are actually some of the safest winter drivers in the country. Our Keely Arthur shares if locals agree.
Wisconsin winters are synonymous with ice and snow, so conventional wisdom tells us we are good drivers in those elements, right?
Of course not.
All states seems to think so. Madisonians were ranked 5th safest drivers in the country, according to its annual report, and the 5th least likely to get in a collision during the rain or snow.
I'm so surprised.
And driver Marcy Brown says it's that false sense of confidence that seems to get us in the most trouble.
One time I saw a guy with a big black truck going down East Wash very fast, and when I got further down there, he was over in the ditch.
But do the professionals agree with Allstate? Not really.
I see a lot of people in the ditch, so they don't generally choose to be there on their own. So
Sergeant Nathan Henriksen says even though drivers are well-intentioned,
everyone wants to get to where they're going safely this holiday and deer hunting season as well.
There's always room for improvement.
Make sure you're watching your following distances and leave yourself an out. So if you need to make a lane change quickly, you can move to the right or the left if needed.
Allow yourself some extra time because the roads are going to be backed up because of the snow, and just be aware of the other guy.
Good advice to follow tonight so you can prove Allstate right and the cynics wrong.
Every winter, the first snow, you're supposed to slow down and have enough room between you and another car, but they just forget.
And if you do end up in a ditch for any reason, make sure to stay in your car and then call for help. And we can pat ourselves on the back just a little bit. Our neighbors over to the east of us, Eric in Milwaukee, got 67th place. Brownsville, Texas is actually named the safest drivers.
And way down in Texas.
Way down in Texas.
Right.
And they don't have any winters, so they don't count.
I mean, how do they even, they wouldn't know how to handle this stuff.
No way.
Keely Arthur on the backyard patio. Keely, thank you. And if your plans depend on the weather, stay up to date with the latest forecast on the go. Our Channel 3000 weather and traffic app includes our 12-hour and 10-day forecast, all for free right now in your app store. There may be a recount of the race for Attorney General. Here are the very latest numbers. Democrat Josh Kaul leads incumbent Brad Schimmel by about 17,000 votes. That is fewer than 1 percentage point. A spokesperson for Schimmel says they'll review the final election results over the weekend and announce a decision on Monday. The Associated Press never called this race because of the closeness, and Schimmel never conceded. The Baraboo School District planning a 3-part program starting next week to promote healing and education after the controversial photo was posted on social media. The district says faith, community, civic, and school district leaders have collaboratively planned the program for anyone impacted in the community. It begins Monday, Baraboo High School, 6 to 7 p.m. Despite the benefits, taking part in high school sports also means the chance of getting hurt. A new UW-Madison study suggests the athletic trainer position in high schools can be critical to treating and managing injuries like concussions. Our Madeline O'Neill tells us how.
We're kind of like the first line.
The first line when a student athlete is hurt. A position athletic trainer Scott Cole says plays a critical role in high schools like DeForest.
The student athletes trust us, they know us, they rely on us.
As an athletic trainer, Cole works with students.
I enjoy it.
Evaluating injuries like concussions. He's on hand at sporting events, but also spends about 20 hours a week at DeForest High School.
I get to see these athletes every single day.
Across the state, athletic trainers can spend anywhere from 1 hour to more than 40 hours a week at schools. A recently released University of Wisconsin-Madison study looked into athletic trainers like Cole and what difference their availability makes on sports-related concussions.
We want to keep kids active, we want to keep them in athletics, but we also want to provide them with medical care that keeps them healthy the rest of their life.
The study's principal investigator, Tim McGuine, compared 31 Wisconsin high schools, dividing them by low, moderate, and high athletic trainer availability. Results show athletes attending schools where athletic trainers are less present wait longer to be seen for concussions, are less likely to be diagnosed, and are less likely to undergo proper return to sport protocol than students at schools with athletic trainers who spend more time at the school.
Every school administrator we talk to in our study, they will admit that having athletic trainers available is ideal, and they would like to have more, but they're pushed by their athletic budgets, what they can do.
At DeForest High School, classified as having moderate athletic trainer availability, Cole hopes the first line will expand in schools across the state.
Most high schools have nurses, school nurses. I hope that athletic trainers just become part of that.
The study's lead researcher says athletic trainers can also save families money by determining whether an emergency room or doctor's visit is really necessary. And the study shows students at low athletic trainer availability schools wait on average a day to be seen after a concussion. That's compared to about an hour at moderate and high availability schools.
That's so important to get medical care immediately if there's ever an injury. Maddie, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Well, a Madison middle school teacher accused of yelling the N-word at a student has now resigned. This happened at Velma Hamilton Middle School last month. The district superintendent wrote in a letter to staff that 2 other incidents involving inappropriate racial language have been reported since. One at West High School, the other at East High School. The East principal says the incident involved a substitute teacher there who will no longer be teaching in the district. Hunters around Wisconsin are preparing for a day they've waited months for, the start of the 9-day gun deer hunting season. Rose Schmidt explains what you need to know. Rose?
Eric, we don't yet know how many hunters will be registered for this season, but a new report shows the numbers of deer hunters are declining in our state. There were 50,000 fewer licenses sold last year than in 1999. But there's been thousands of people in our area today buying last-minute licenses and gear. And if you're heading out early tomorrow, the Department of Natural Resources wants to remind you to wear blaze orange or pink for half your body above the waist. And of course, don't let fun get in the way of your safety.
I hope that it's a really safe season. Biggest thing with safety too is if you're going up in any tree stands, make sure that you do have your tree harness. It can save lives. We've had several incidents where people fall out of the trees and they don't have their safety harness on, and it can be bad.
If you're hunting in parts of Dane and Columbia counties, the DNR is requiring you to submit part of the deer for bovine tuberculosis testing. And the snowy weather on the way will likely make the hunting experience even better because it will be easier to spot the deer. And the hunters I spoke with today say that the cold weather will not deter them at all.
No, it never does, and they love that tracking snow. Everybody be safe out there for the next several days. Rose Schmidt in the News Center. Rose, thank you. Still to come tonight, Main Street in Sun Prairie officially back open to traffic now, plus a special funeral for a well-known Columbia County man. The story when we come back. Main Street in downtown Sun Prairie is officially reopened to traffic. In August, the governor approved a $1 million emergency contract to reconstruct the intersection damaged by this summer's explosion there. The community held a reopening event earlier this week. The village of Poynette lost a prominent figure in their community this week. As Jamie Perez shows us, village residents said their final goodbye with a one-of-a-kind farewell.
In this small town of 2,500 people, John Deere is a common name. Mostly because Dave Gahan owned 21 of these tractors.
That was his biggest joy, his tractors.
His wife Gail has been around to see his antique collection grow. Even after retiring his well-known business of D&G meat processing, he kept these around. But the sounds of these engines revving is the last time Dave will hear them. On November 10th, Dave died unexpectedly of kidney failure.
Yeah, he was ready to leave the hospital, and when they took the tubes out of his neck from dialysis, he must have passed a blood clot because he just lasted a couple minutes and he was gone.
This Thanksgiving would have marked their 52nd wedding anniversary.
Oh, he could make me laugh, but he could make me mad too.
Gail says Dave was well known, not just for his popular business, but for the smile he carried even after hours.
He never met a person he didn't like, and everyone liked him. There wasn't anyone that would say a bad word against him.
For the small town of Poynette, seeing these tractors was almost a staple.
I'm sure he wished he could sit right there and watch the whole thing, because especially those tractors going down the road now, and it just makes your heart beat a little faster.
So what better way for this town to say goodbye?
Yeah. He'll be missed.
In Poynette,
He would have loved this part too. He would have just really, really loved it.
Jamie Perez, WISC News 3.
And more about Dave's legacy can be found on our website, channel3000.com. Still ahead tonight, a live report from the Goodman Community Center. They are in the process of collecting meals for the Thanksgiving holiday. There's a live look. We'll tell you how you can help when we return.
An alert day is in the forecast starting tonight for snow that may impact your Saturday morning. We'll talk timing, threats, and totals in your forecast coming up.
More than 3,500 families will have a Thanksgiving dinner because of the work done by the Goodman Community Center and hundreds of volunteers. Our Amanda Quintana is live with two longtime volunteers to talk about why this means so much to them. Amanda?
Yes, well, they are still filling up bags here, and I am joined now by MJ and Corey. You guys have been doing this for 15 years together, father and son duo. Why do you do this?
Super rewarding. You know, Thanksgiving's about bringing people together around a meal, bringing people together around community. These are my favorite 4 days of the year, getting all these volunteers together, packaging stuff up so many families can get fed. 21,000 people will get fed out of this effort that is starting to come together here tonight.
And Corey, you were doing this when you were 3 years old. I know we have a picture of you doing it at 3 years old. What has it been like to do this every Thanksgiving?
Well, I've really seen like the need grow, those who, demonstrate need grow, and the community has really rose to the challenge every year with donations of food and money. And so although I didn't know it at the time, looking up in awe at the few hundred bags we put together versus now, that's what's humbling to me is every year I come back and the need grows, but the generosity of everyone here grows with it. And so that's what's really incredible to me and why I come back every year.
And we're seeing a bunch of volunteers here still doing that. So we want to thank you guys for joining us and for doing this every year.
It's a big effort. It's so great to have so many for the community here to volunteer and so many other people to make the donations to give these folks the work to do. And so all that food can go out over the weekend here.
Yes, and there are still some donations that are needed. Monetary donations, of course. You guys need turkey, gravy, and some canned fruit. So if you want, and cranberry. Yes, very in need of cranberry. So you can donate that through Monday.
Big thanks to volunteers like Michael and Corey, and thanks to Amanda Quintana live out there at the Goodman Center as well. Thank you very much. Let's go to Dave Caulfield, who is joining us now with his eye to the skies as some snow begins to move in. Dave?
Yeah, that snow is right on the doorstep for some of us across southern Wisconsin, especially closer to Grant County, where we're noticing the radar become a little bit more active. So an alert day is in the forecast for tonight into tomorrow morning, a winter weather advisory for many of us as well. That goes until tomorrow morning. The threats that we're focused on mainly of the snow variety, obviously, but early on in this event, don't be surprised if a little bit of freezing drizzle mixes in, especially in those river valleys closer to the Mississippi River Valley over the next couple of hours. But mainly we're looking at snow on Doppler track. This Alberta Clipper system continues to move to the south and east and starting to extend a little bit into Grant County closer to Platteville. We could see that on Doppler track, kind of our local view. Temperatures are cold enough for snow for many of us, that's for sure. 32 in Madison, 31 in Platteville, closer to that snow. 30 in Dubuque, Iowa, and wind chills, not too bad. That wind has relaxed a little bit. We see that sometimes when snow is kind of just around the corner. Downtown Madison on the Edgewater Skycam. No snow just yet. I think it's going to be about 3 to 4 hours before we start seeing our snowflakes start to fly across the Madison area. Our snow chances in Madison really start to go up later tonight. I would say around 9 or 10. That's when some areas could start to see that snow. Snow becomes likely overnight into the early morning hours of Saturday, but it gets out of here pretty quickly. That is the nature of these Alberta Clippers a lot of times as they come through. A few flakes not out of the question later on Saturday, but I think we're actually going to see skies clear a little bit as that system moves to the south and east. Tonight, light snow developing across southern Wisconsin. Temperatures falling into the upper 20s. And for tomorrow, we're really not rising too much in temperature land in the low 30s. That snow ends early. It will be breezy, chilly, and a little bit of clearing not out of the question for the afternoon hours. Let's take a look at that in an in-depth look at future track. So over the next few hours, that snow continuing to move into southwestern Wisconsin. The forcing is a little bit better across portions of northeastern Iowa and southwestern Wisconsin. So I think some more intense bands could set up there, but some of those bands could extend a little bit farther to the north and east. So by the time we get to later tonight into early tomorrow morning, pretty much everywhere getting light to moderate snowfall, but by the time we get to about 9 a.m., a lot of that is wrapping up, and you can see those clearing skies by the afternoon and evening hours, and very chilly to start off Sunday. Good news is for the Leonid meteor shower, I think a lot of the clouds will be out of here, and also for hunting season starting this weekend. the weather is looking pretty nice. Snow totals by the time we get to Saturday morning, about 1 to 2, maybe 3 inches of snow for much of southern Wisconsin, and higher amounts as you head farther to the south and west, about 2 to 4, maybe locally 5 inches of snow closer to Platteville. Your 7 to 10 day forecast, a quiet start to the holiday week with temperatures in the 30s. By Thanksgiving, we should be dry with highs in the 40s, but some rain may visit us for Black Friday.
Packers head coach Mike McCarthy talks job security after last night's loss in Seattle. And we'll hear from people who think this weekend's temperatures will be perfect for outdoor running. Yeah. Sometimes your Friday feeling can turn into a Monday real quick, especially if you're trying to keep your head above water in the NFL and you lose an important road game in Seattle. Packers had their chances last night at CenturyLink Field, but came up empty. Russell Wilson, Ed Dixon, touchdown to put the Seahawks up 27-24. Less than 5 minutes to go. Packers, you want the ball in the hands of number 12. Not a number 12 moment on 3rd and 2. Bounces one to MVS, so the Packers punt, but they would not get it back. Seattle wins 27-24. Packers drop to 4-5-1.
We had the opportunity to win, many times throughout the game, and just didn't make the play. So just got to get back to the drawing board. I mean, we're that close, but like I said, close doesn't count.
At this point is win out. I mean, that's the mentality. That's always the mentality, obviously, but in this situation now, it's definitely it's more dire at this point.
When things go south in the win-loss column, the head coach is usually the first to go, definitely the first name discussed. Asked today if his job security has been brought up with management, Mike McCarthy said they talk about winning games and what's in front of them.
Every individual on the inside, particularly, the football team, we have a 2018 commitment, and that's all I've ever focused on.
Tomorrow morning, 10:45, Wisconsin hosts the NCAA Cross Country Championships at Zimmer Championship Course, adjacent to University Ridge Golf Course. It was calm and cool this afternoon. Tomorrow, those temperatures near 30, maybe some snow on the ground. That makes for a firm course, and most of the runners have dealt with cold conditions at some point in their racing careers. Now, the coaches and I will have to agree to disagree on whether 30 degrees is actually cold.
We will take advantage of that weather. We will take that weather any day over, 50, 60 degrees. Our kids train for the last 2 days in that. It hasn't been cold around here, so we hope it gets colder. Yeah, bring it on.
It should be difficult. It should be a challenge, and I think that's the most fun part about our sport. So bring it on. To me, the weather, it looks a little too nice this week.
Too nice. From a runner's perspective, it's a team effort, but the Badgers have multiple individuals who could bring home a national title. Two of those, Morgan McDonald on the men's side, Alicia Monson on the women's side. This is their home course, and they couldn't stop smiling when they spoke today about how they want to approach the race.
Very excited that we get to run up this hill like 5 times. I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the race, and I think every lap it's gonna definitely, that's where some people are gonna start really feeling it, especially towards the end.
It kind of makes it more dramatic of a cross-country race. Like, I'm kind of excited just to see how everyone is. Obviously, everyone's going to be in long clothes and stuff, so I think everyone's prepared for it. It'll just be that much more fun.
Fun. It's going to be great out there with
And
some dusting on the ground. Yeah, exactly right.
They've got how many inches in Madison?
A couple. Yeah, a couple by tomorrow morning. I think the biggest totals are going to be farther to the south and west, where we're already starting to see some of that snow move into Grant County. But by tomorrow, that snow wraps up pretty early, and actually some clearing possible with temps in the 30s.
And we'll have more updates on the weather tonight on News 3 at 10. Have a good one.